I'm Billy, welcome to Billy's Backlog. Today, we're reviewing Pokemon Legends Arceus for the Nintendo Switch. Now, this video might be a little late to the party, as the game came out last month, and it's been a few weeks. The long and short of it, though, is I didn't want to rush this review. Pokemon has had a rough go of it this time around. I wasn't impressed by Sword and Shield, and my expectations were very low coming into Arceus, so I wanted to ensure that my feelings towards Legends Arceus were free of any preconceived notions or biases that may have formed either positively or negatively. Now, with some time under my belt, I can safely say Pokemon Legends Arceus is really, really good. But just how good? Let's find out. First, if you haven't already, consider subscribing to the channel. We're trying to get the Billy S channel to 500 subscribers so I can unlock that sweet, sweet community tab feature. Every little helps, and your support would be much appreciated. Warning, this is a spoiler review. I will reference all aspects of the game, including endgame and postgame content, so if you want a spoiler-free review, check out my first impressions video I made at the start of the month, which only discusses content from the first explorable zone. Let's begin. Have you ever been inside for a long period of time where the air gets a bit stuffy, only to go outside and get that big gulp of fresh air that just reinvigorates you? Legends Arceus is that breath of fresh air that's innovating on a formula that hasn't really changed since 1996. For the first time, we're getting the chance to actively go out into a vast wilderness and catch Pokemon, not through random encounters or running into overworld models to trigger a battle, but instead through real-time capture and battle mechanics that blend seamlessly into the flow of gameplay to deliver a top-notch, immersive experience. In other words, catching Pokemon in Legends Arceus is how we imagined catching Pokemon in our childhood Pokemon games. Finally, we have a visual that fits that sense of scale we had in our minds when we were kids, and I love it. In Hisui, you'll explore 5 major regions, each with their own climate, terrain, and Pokemon to explore, traverse, and catch, each more dangerous than the last, but each a joy to experience for that first time. The worlds aren't overly massive, nor are they the most beautifully rendered, but the gameplay really carries this experience and almost becomes this proof of concept that, yes, Game Freak are capable of delivering great ideas. They just need more time to adapt to working on console hardware, and maybe also get some extra dev time in between releases. They are capable, they just need support, Pokemon Company. Catching Pokemon has never felt so fun. The thrill of crouching in tall grass, waiting for your target to turn their back so you can get a clean back strike on them with your chosen Pokeball, hoping you catch him that first time while knowing you're ready to duck, dive and dodge if things go south, but also the feeling of being empowered, as you're really the first of your kind in Hisui, able to wield, battle, and bond with your Pokemon in a way the rest of the cast has yet to achieve. And that's because we, the player, are in a unique position in the story, because, believe it or not, Legends Arceus is an isekai. The time God sent me to a new world with a smartphone, coming to Crunchyroll very soon. Arceus really wanted to play 2048, come on guys. You awaken just outside of Jubilife Village, greeted by Professor Laventon, and you immediately get to show off your skills as you catch the 3 starter Pokemon he lost control of. But things aren't as easy as they seem. The town is actually skeptical of you. Some believe you to be an ill omen, you're not instantly accepted into the fold, and you have to earn your keep as part of the Survey Corps, meeting a cast of lovable characters along the way. While this game still suffers from the classic Pokemon issue of dialogue sounding far too exposition-y, the characters are far more grounded in reality, which helps you to relate to each of them, with Silene, the Survey Corps commander, being the best of the bunch. Her no-nonsense attitude and casual mention of death had me very floored. I didn't expect Pokemon to get dark and mature, but they did. Pokemon in the Hisui region have traumatized townsfolk. Members of the Survey and Security Corps get attacked and injured by Pokemon on a daily basis, and even your rival, though she's more of a co-worker, was bedridden after a direct Shinx Thunderbolt, the poor girl. Effectively, the world is set up as threatening and dangerous, and it finally allows Pokemon to feel like real wild creatures. We always read in the mainline game Pokédex entries about how some Pokemon are genuinely dangerous, yet that was never conveyed through the gameplay. Gardevoir can create black holes if their trainer is harmed. Drifloon can kidnap children and take them to the afterlife. We never see any of this. Legends Arceus, meanwhile, conveys the threat of these creatures masterfully, flipping the script on traditional Pokemon by having you be the target of the wild Pokemon. You can have all of your Pokemon faint now, and you won't instantly black out back to camp like older titles. You have to put the work in and run back to safety yourself, or quick travel, rushing your fainted party and nursing them back to health as you go. You aren't hunting Pokemon. The Pokemon are hunting you. So by the end of the game, once you've amassed a stronger team of Pokemon and that initial role reversal flips back, allowing you to be the one in control of most fights, it feels earned and satisfying. I was so tentative trying to sneak past or avoid the alpha Pokemon throughout the world during the early game, but now I just drive by on my Wurdeer without a second thought, and if I feel like it, I'll battle and catch them as I see fit. I may lose a few Pokemon along the way, but it's worth it to get that alpha Pokemon stored away in a pasture. I just want to enjoy my giant Kricketune, okay? In terms of the capture mechanics, I haven't dabbled into the various items like the smoke bombs or other items designed to scare or attract Pokemon. I very much just enjoyed the simple backstrike and battle system with a few berries on hand so I can lure Pokemon right where I want them, and it works perfectly fine for me. Just the fact that there are multiple ways to go about strategizing on how to catch a given Pokemon is more than enough. Options are there for the people that want to go that extra mile, and that's how I feel about a lot of Pokemon Legend Arceus as a whole. There's a lot of new additions and features that just enhance, improve, or streamline traditional Pokemon gameplay. Take my favorite change up from traditional Pokemon, equipable moves. Gone are the days of going to a move tutor and forcing them to teach your Pokemon moves from their move pool. Now you can change Pokemon moves from the menu, and any moves your Pokemon has learned are available at any time. The sheer level of freedom and customization this change allows for is just insane. It feels so right, so natural, and if this doesn't persist into future Pokemon titles, I will be devastated. Evolution has also gotten a shakeup. Gone is the need for an Everstone, as now you can toggle evolution from a button in the menu. The amount of wasted downtime you go through in past games by seeing the evolution cutscene, pressing B to cancel it, then going back to gameplay, it added up. So seeing it gone is just mwah. Another freedom to the player that needs to persist into Generation 9 and beyond. There's just this level of seamlessness in every action. Catching is quick, battles are quick, exploration is quick. The game respects your time and doesn't bog you down with meaningless transitions and chatter. It knows what you're here for, and it doesn't waste any moment in the gameplay. You'll finish a battle and already be moving to your next destination, while experience bars fill in the top left. You'll send out a Pokemon to a gathering spot and already be running to the next location before they're finished. Flashing back to the original Gen 4 games and how absolutely slow they were by comparison, we've come a long way. Now, a part of the game that I do enjoy, but I have some slight misgivings with, is the crafting system. I really love crafting. Gathering materials, being able to self-sustain my character's efforts into surveying Hisui is extremely satisfying, but I just can't stand the limited inventory space in my satchel. There is nothing more disappointing to me than when I'm exploring and I see the message, "You cannot fit anything more in your satchel." Now, I did do a poll on Twitter, and you guys were pretty split down the middle on this, but you were in favor of limited inventory management, as it means you have to plan what you're bringing out on your expeditions, and I totally get that. But I think why that system works for other games like Monster Hunter as an example, which has a similar setup to Legends Arceus, is that you're going out to hunt one specific creature and that's it. Whereas in Arceus, you're very much going to be in each explorable area for a very lengthy period of time, having to then go back to a base camp to enter my item box and then empty my bag, refill it, warp or travel back to where I was, and then just keep doing that over and over. I don't find that fun. Realistic? Sure. Does it fit this game's theme? Yes. Do I personally vibe with it? No. It just felt like it broke the flow. Is this what it felt like being against Breath of the Wild's weapon degradation system? Ugh. And can we cancel Baggin, please? The man's ripping us off. We're paying him to increase our satchel space, but not by him adding new pockets or something. Oh, no. He's just teaching us how to play Tetris with our items to smush them in there better. I don't know how far his money laundering goes, but enough is enough. There are also a few smaller quality of life improvements I would have made as well, including a search bar in the Pokédex so you can search for the Pokémon you want quickly, allowing you to, when selecting a Pokémon in the menu, see their research level, having a pop-up appear when you finish the requirements for completing a gathering quest or a Pokédex quest, small things like that. Speaking of, the request system in the game is fun, but I was admittedly very bogged down by the sheer amount of them, and it often felt like a slog trying to go through my list of quests manually to see which I could hand in and which I still needed to work on. I wish it were possible to highlight multiple requests at once to follow, and just have a small portion of the screen convey that information. It would help a lot. Oftentimes, I'd check my request lists while in Jubilife, highlight a request, and realize, oh, that NPC isn't actually in Jubilife. For some reason, the game just doesn't tell you where your request NPCs are located in the request information, and that's a weird omission. Though by the endgame, once you're forced to collect every Pokemon to be able to take on the game's final challenge, the requests do get cleaned up very quickly. Unless you're looking for a 2-8 Buizel, in which case good fucking luck. I caught over 50 Buizels for Dorian, and I ended up having to give him my only Alpha Buizel that spawned after I completed every research task for the species. Please, for the love of Arceus, adjust the height rates, Game Freak. Nobody should have to go through that trauma for a couple of fucking Oranberries. There are also just a few tiny nitpicks about the game that do bother me, that are mainly just UI or design elements that stood out. Don't take these as crazy criticism. When you black out, regardless of the area, you always see an image of the Obsidian Fieldlands, and I think it should change depending on the area you black out in. When you're in a loading screen for one of the 5 explorable zones, the game just pops in with zero warning, no smooth fade to black or transition, it's just instant. It is quick, which I know some people like, but to me it feels a bit unpolished, if that makes sense. It's also present in the game's noble Pokemon boss fights, where the fight just pops in without warning, it just feels a bit janky. I kind of wish that it was possible for them to transition from cutscene to gameplay seamlessly, but I understand that's not something that's necessarily possible with the Switch at this moment. I'm also not a fan of how Braviary controls when in the air. I was expecting something similar to Final Fantasy XIV's flying mounts from the trailers, but what we got is a Pokemon that can't fly upwards after the initial ascent. It's more like a paraglider. I understand that this was to make Sneasler not obsolete, because if you could fly anywhere, you'd have no need to climb cliffs, but personal preferences. I wish I could just fly everywhere. The other ride Pokemon all control great though. They feel responsive and enjoyable, although I don't like how the camera sort of locks itself forwards when you're riding them. I like having full control over where I go and how I point the camera, and with the ride Pokemon there's always a slight bit of pushback with the camera. Not enough to ruin the experience or anything, but notable enough that I was bothered by it as my playthrough progressed. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the graphics are just acceptable in a lot of areas. The skyboxes are gorgeous, and certain locations and environments are really pretty. Jubilife Village, as it continues to grow over the course of the game, looks really good. Some of the overworld areas have had careful attention placed on them to look nice. But god, those textures are muddy. and while it doesn't bother me all that much because the gameplay is that good, I just hope that for their next title, they can finally nail the graphics so the world can look as good as the Pokemon do, or the people do. We shouldn't be having models going at a lower FPS to everyone else during cutscenes. At the very least, the game doesn't feel empty, which was my biggest concern. Pokemon filling up the map actually works, and I didn't feel a need for there to be any extra objectives in the world. But I would have liked a few more graphical flourishes here and there, some extra decor in certain locations to just spice the world up a little bit. Perhaps even a few more dungeons to explore. We have Snow Point Temple, which works well enough, even if it's basically a straight line, but it had puzzles. There's an Alpha Glade, it's fun. I wish other areas had similar treatment. Spoilers for the post-game, but in the Cobalt Coastlands, there are 3 special caves you can explore to catch Heatran, Manaphy, and Giratina, and I kind of wish there was more to these caves than just a single room each. Especially for Giratina, given he's found in Turnback Cave, the same place he's found in the Gen 4 games. And those caves had rooms and layers and architecture. It felt like a missed opportunity to add a bit of flair to those legendary fights by making you really work to get to them instead of just finding them in areas you could already access. I can't complain too much though, as the actual battle against Giratina before he flees to Turnback Cave is perhaps one of my favorite battles in all of Pokemon. The build-up, the drama, the music, the fact it kicked my ass multiple times, and the fake-out, God!
Call an ambulance! Call an ambulance! But not for me!
Though I do also wish most of the legendaries got noble Pokemon style battles. I caught most of them in the post-game pretty easily, but I can't help but imagine what it would have been like if they got a third-person style bomb battle, because after experiencing the final battle of this game, that's all I want from legendary fights now. But yeah, the world is vast, and there's always new alpha and normal Pokemon around every corner. Nothing trumps running into an alpha Garchomp hidden away in the corner of Alabaster Icelands at level 85, oh heck and heck. Luckily, it's possible to battle in this game. Finally, we can talk about the battle mechanics. They are refined, they are balanced, and they are perfect for this single player experience. Your Pokemon start out simple, and you need to level them up to let them master their moves, which will then give them access to Agile and Strong style attacks. Agile style attacks may allow you an extra turn in the turn order, while Strong attacks will buff your damage, but give your opponent an extra turn. You can check out each attack will affect the turn order by checking the top right of the screen as you go over your options. Sometimes it's better to just attack normally and pray. Battles just have this facelift in Arceus. The animations for attacks are significantly improved from Sword and Shield. You can get swarmed by multiple Pokemon at a time in the wild and in trainer battles, and there's head tracking, so your Pokemon will track which wild Pokemon is attacking you each time a move is made. It's great! It's a lot, but it really works, and this made Pokemon battles feel very unique in Legends Arceus. I also appreciate the tooltips that tell you how effective attacks are. I know that's been a feature for a while now, but as someone who just doesn't retain that type of knowledge as well as I used to, it's really useful. Shout out to the battle AI for the trainers, by the way. They really go out of their way to try and take you down, culminating in the final post-game trainer battle against Volo where he, using Cynthia's classic team plus an Arcanine, absolutely thrashed me multiple times. Until I realized I could tank most of his team with Cresselia. I also really enjoyed the noble Pokemon battles for the changes of pace that they were. You use bombs and throw them at the frenzied Pokemon in an attempt to quell them, dodging attacks Dark Souls style, while battling them when they let their guards down. Honestly, I'd have just cut the battles and just kept this sequence third person. It's at its most fun when you're dodging enemy attacks and trying to survive. There's no way to really heal your trainer in these fights though, which is something I wish we had, as Hisuian Electrode almost murdered me. And I'll get to the hardest fight in the game in a bit, but the trainer injury system of the screen going redder like in a COD game also felt a bit lazy. I'd have just appreciated some sort of health bar and a way to regain my health, but that's just me. Still, the noble Pokemon fights start out easy but become some of the toughest fights in the game by the 4th and 5th bosses. Getting to fight Pokemon yourself is just very fun. And everything in this game, from the battles to the exploration, is enhanced by the stellar audio design. Sound effects for attacks, menus, and just general exploration are immersive and work wonders. That fireworks sound effect when you catch a Pokemon is music to my ears. But the soundtrack is perhaps the best part of the game by far. Every single theme in this game is a banger, but if I had to pick my top 3, and that's pretty hard, time for some spoilers, I'd say the versus Arceus battle, the Origin Dialga Palkia theme, and the Giratina battle theme are my top 3. The Arceus battle theme, which you'll hear soon, devolves into breakcore as the song progresses. Origin Dialga and Palkia has brief elements of Eurobeat and a lot of techno that evolves into a fire remix of their original theme, and that just makes me so happy. But it's Giratina's battle theme with that electric guitar and the heartbeat. Ooh, mama! This is some quality content, mama! I mean, you're listening to it right now. God, I haven't even gotten the chance to gush about how finally the player character of a Pokemon game feels like a real person and not just a soulless puppet for the player. All it took was some emotions and a fun plot twist 2/3 of the way through the game that reminded me very, very heavily of the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon spin-offs. If you know me, that's a compliment. There's just so much content in this game, and I know I could make this review way more in-depth than it is, but I don't want this review to go on forever, so let's end it by discussing the game's final challenge, Arceus himself. To unlock the battle with Arceus, you must seek out all Pokemon, and that means completing your Pokédex by catching every type of Pokemon in Hisui. You don't need to complete their research tasks though, be aware of that, and for the most part, this was actually quite fun. You can catch most of the Pokemon during normal gameplay, and I only really hit a roadblock when it came to getting space-time distortions to spawn. I don't know what the criteria for their spawns are, but when the last few Pokemon I needed relied on them, it was a bit of a time-consuming thing for sure. But eventually, I completed the Pokédex and made my way to Spear Pillar to tackle God himself. And after playing the Azure Flute and ascending the Stairs of Light, I arrived at an arena in the sky. Shout out to the floor design for this boss arena being the same symbols used during the Arceus event in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, by the way. Arceus appears really just out of thin air, and it's clear that he's here to test us. We're not catching God. God is just playing with us, wanting to see if we're truly worthy of what we've achieved. And the fight begins. Arceus is fought just like the other noble Pokemon in the game, using bombs in a 3D battle arena, and he does not hold back. This was some serious Dark Souls level content spliced with Final Fantasy XIV raid mechanics, tied up with an awesome intense soundtrack in the background that really highlights the severity of this battle. Arceus can just warp instantly around the stage as he wants. The attack where he shatters time and space to charge at you though is probably my favourite of the bunch. The music stops and then
Buckingham Palace has announced the death of His Royal Highness the Duke of Edinburgh.
I also love that if you get to battle Arceus mid-fight, he'll use the plates to shift his type himself, forcing you to adapt as you go. And when you beat him, his dialogue actually implies that we didn't defeat God. We just fought an essence of Arceus. He all but confirms that the Arceus you obtain to take on adventures isn't actually his full form, but just a piece of himself, something for the mortals to see. Finally, it feels like Arceus has the reverence that he deserves. That being said, this fight also showed Game Freak's limitations. The long load time before the fight begins with just a black screen, not even the little loading icon in the bottom right. The fact this fight just appears without any warning once the loading is done, it's just small things like that that make me aware that improvements still need to be made. I don't want to play to extremes with Legends Arceus like the rest of the internet is prone to. People will say it's either the worst game ever or the best game in the franchise, but the reality is, it's just somewhere in the middle. It may be the best game I've played in the series for a long time, but it's nowhere near as polished as I think we should be expecting. And I don't want to send the wrong message to Game Freak that it's acceptable to keep at this level for all future outputs. Pokemon needs to keep improving, both visually and mechanically, and this was a major step forwards for the series, but it's definitely not perfect and could use refinement in all areas. Legends Arceus should hopefully be the Mega Man 1 to whatever comes next's Mega Man 2. A perfectly acceptable and fun game that will be beloved by fans, but that will hopefully be followed by a game that truly takes everything Arceus did well and combines it with better graphics and a more stable, consistent experience. Anyway, I caught Arceus and got the family back together with my starter, plus an Alpha Bronzong because it's my boyfriend's favorite Pokemon, and I just wanted to get a family photo. Gillatina's sleeping, baby. In conclusion, I love Pokemon Legends Arceus, and I can only imagine getting a mainline traditional Pokemon game in this style. Have smaller explorable routes and areas, but keep the system of being able to sneak up and capture Pokemon in real time. Keep the gym challenges in towns, but expand upon them and make them bigger, bolder, and better. Keep the changes to moves and evolution, keep the grit pebbles and rocks that give easy upgrades to your stats, and give us a compelling narrative that we get to participate in. And that just might be my dream mainline Pokemon game. Pokemon Legends Arceus gets an 88 out of 100. That's right, I've changed my ranking system so I can have more flexibility in my scores. The gameplay of Legends Arceus is phenomenal and well worth the entry fee. Battle animations are stunning, Hyper Beam is hecking raw, Pokemon models are great, you can see Spheal rolling around at the speed of sound after all, mechanics are all solid, though there's still ultimately room for improvement. The graphics and a lack of certain quality of life improvements, to me, hold back this game from getting a perfect score. But I'm banking on the fact that this isn't the plateau of Pokemon, and there's even more to come in the future. Do you agree with my rating? Leave your thoughts down below and let me know what your favourite moments have been from Legends Arceus so far. Have any questions about the game that I didn't actually cover in the review? Ask them too, I'll answer. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I've also launched a small Patreon for this channel, Billy S, for people who want to support more content like this. So if you're interested and you want to help out, links are down below. Shout out to my current patron. Check out my previous videos as well. I did my live reaction to the last Nintendo Direct, as well as a follow-up video discussing my highlights from that Direct in detail. Check them out if you're interested, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye!